Hey, it's Cody and Hershey. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate everybody's support as we're making the push to 500 subscribers. Now, today I'm talking about perspective and how you should look at success as you're growing. Because what you're looking at in the beginning will change, and it's easy to get burnt out. If you get stuck and you're feeling burnt out, it's probably because you're looking at your little wins as less than you would have a few years ago. An example of this, my very first business was the real estate business. I was buying and holding rentals. I'm still doing that because I think that is one of the best subscription models on the planet to be in. It's the original, right? Subscription model. You rent out properties that you own. When I was getting started, my version of success was owning an asset because I couldn't fathom owning a rental property. I wanted to buy a duplex. By the time I was 21, I ended up buying a 12plex at 19 years old. So when I bought that first 12plex, my version of success was, hey, I bought an asset. Today, buying assets doesn't really mean anything. It's what actually you get out of it. So it's a lot less rewarding when I go buy a property than it was back then because my version of success has changed. And so just going out and doing the monotonous day-to-day of, I'm buying more assets, people can get stuck in that with their job. They're just doing the same thing over and over. They're getting little wins along the way. Perspective changes. So I was getting started and I was buying these assets and I was like, I got something. Bought the second 12plex 9 months after that. And I thought that was a huge win because that was my first property to ever cash flow more than $1,000 a month. And now that property, the LLC that bought that was me, just me back then. I took on a partner since then. That LLC and that property cash flow more than $5,000 a month. But just now, like if I'm going out and buying a property, if I'm only cash flowing $1,000, I'm not going to be super excited about that. The idea of what's a successful venture has changed because my situation's changed. So what I want to encourage everybody here as you start hitting your little wins along the way, maybe it's a certain revenue point. My first ever business outside of real estate, I remember the first time I ever hit $10,000 in a month. And then when I ever hit $30,000 in a month, and it kept on growing and growing and growing. Every little win mattered a ton. But then now that business at a point where if it only made $10,000 a month, it would go bankrupt. And so perspective changes as you grow your business. And you got to just think back as you're growing as a business person and as an entrepreneur. Think back a couple years ago. How excited would you have been to be doing what you're doing? This will help prevent the burnout. This will help prevent the worries of if you're doing enough or not enough, how you quantify success. Because it's so easy to just look at your pieces now and say, well, I haven't made it. But 5 years ago, you couldn't have imagined having what you have today. And if you put it into that perspective, how you're quantifying your success, you're quantifying your actual wins. I couldn't imagine 5 years ago having a business that's making the revenue it does today, or having a property that could cash flow $5,000 a month, having a resort. But I think about it today, and it's like, well, some of these pieces suck. They're not what I wanted. But that's because I'm looking at it with the pieces I have today versus what I was looking at when I was starting. So always go back to that perspective of when you're starting. It will prevent you from getting burned out and allow you to keep pushing forward, keep scaling towards whatever your goal is today, even though that's probably changed from when you got started. And that'll allow you to be a little bit less stressed as you're taking on this business adventure. Hope this helped. If it did, please leave a comment, subscribe, maybe hit the like button. I'll see everybody next week. Appreciate you watching.